Today on the Extreme Channel, we have another Eddie Brock statue. Okay, he's not Eddie Brock. We have another Venom statue. I'm not, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm a Riot idiot. Hey, welcome to the Extreme Channel. Today we're looking at a custom quarter scale Riot statue. So, a little bit of jokester in the beginning because I'm hilarious, but Riot is not Venom, although he looks very, very similar. And Riot holds a special place in my heart because growing up, one of my favorite series was where we first met Riot. That's when Venom finally got his own comics in Lethal Protector. So Riot was one of the many symbiotes they built or made or created to go after Venom. So Riot, Scream is another really prominent one, probably my favorite. I once had a custom Scream statue on order. So I'd love to get the entire Life Foundation, and this is kind of the first step. But a quick history lesson. So we had Spider-Man, and then they introduced Venom into the Amazing Spider-Man comics, and then they introduced Carnage. And then finally, Venom got his own comic, and that was in the Lethal Protector series. I own all of them in the 9.8 CGC slab. You can actually see a picture right here. And during that time, the Life Foundation, which was a foundation for rich billionaires that wanted to destroy the world and make sure the billionaires live, they created some symbiotes from Venom after they captured him, and they had those symbiotes go on some of their employees, including one of their security guards. I want to say Trevor something. I can't remember exactly, but and that created Riot. So Riot was not really a main character at all. He was one of many symbiotes actually going after Venom. But Riot really got some public attention because he was the main villain in the first Venom movie by Sony. Now, unfortunately, that was really, really loosely based on the comics. Very loose. As I said, in the comics, he was really not even a secondary character or a tertiary character, but quadrishi. I mean, he was not a main character at all, but he was a part of my favorite comic series. And then later in Separation Anxiety, another series with Venom, he was also prominent in that. Those are probably the most two prominent comics he was in. So that's why I like him. That's why I got him in the statue form. He's going to join some of my other symbiotes. I have tons of Carnage statues that you guys have seen in the past. I have a Toxin statue right here. And then Riot's going to join Venom and Spider-Man. If you want to see what he looks like in the collection, check out my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The link for those is in the description below. And I wasn't planning on getting this, although to my knowledge, it's the only Riot statue out there. I said it's a custom. That means it's a private unlicensed commission. So I really wanted this, but I didn't pull the trigger. But the commissioner actually had some of the production pieces. So a lot of times they'll make a sample piece just to make sure it looks good before they make the rest. And there's a few differences on that we'll talk about. That's what this is. So I was able to pick this up after they sold out, and pretty stoked to have him. He's a little bit basic, but I don't think that's bad. So with that, let's just dive in and take a look at Riot. So this is what I would like to call a very basic statue. And again, when you're doing a character that's rarely done and not a lot of people want, you don't have to get incredibly elaborate because really there's no competition. And you kind of see that here. The base, I don't even know what the base is. It looks like maybe a containment chamber. So maybe this is where they had Venom tied up, and because I believe this is comic based, although we'll talk about it a little bit more later. This guy came in both a black and a red, both in statue form and in the comics. But the symbiote is all over the place. You assume that's Riot's symbiote. And as you move up, Riot was a big guy. He was the biggest of the Life Foundation symbiotes, if I recall correctly, and I'm pretty sure he was. Very bulky. And again, he very much looks like Venom, but the shade is a little bit off, and you see the symbiote mostly over the top here. Now, what I really like about Riot is you saw this in the comics and also in the movie. He made these huge stabbing weapons with the symbiote, and you see that here. So he's ready to fight. Maybe he's facing off against Spider-Man or Venom. He fought both of them in the comics. And his portrait's a little bit different than Venom, although you see so many different portraits with Venom, especially me. I've owned over 40 Venom statues. I only have half a dozen or so. Only have half a dozen or so now. But I think it's a very basic concept. I think it's 3 out of 5. It's not bad, but it's nothing extraordinary. Now, design, like I said, this is a little bit different because this was a sample piece. So what does that mean? That means the packaging you're going to see is very different, among a few other minor things. So let's start with the unboxing and assembly. It's a sample production piece. It's a makeshift packaging, including a makeshift box. They do have the foam, but you can see it was even makeshift foam with the straps. And then the pieces don't quite fit. Thankfully, nothing was broken because it was still packed really well. So as I said, he's actually the biggest of those symbiotes. And I think he was a little bit bigger than Venom. This is 19 inches wide. The deepest part is only about 9 inches. And then the tallest part is just under 27 inches, maybe right at 27 inches. Again, this is 1/4 scale, so 4 times smaller than what he would look like in real life. And you know, with most Venom or symbiote statues, you have a ton of different display options. So you can switch out the arm or the portrait. Not on this guy. This is it. So very basic. And I believe that was with all the pieces, not just mine because it was a production piece. So you saw the packaging was a little bit different. This has no base sticker, but I bought it directly from the commissioner, so it is a legit piece. I would have liked to see a different portrait. While I don't really care for like a transformation portrait because I don't even know the guy's name. I'm pretty sure it was Trevor something. I could look it up, but so can you because you're sitting there watching a video about a custom statue. So clearly you have more time than I do, or just as much time. And because I'm making it, so I probably have more time. Well, we all have the same amount of time. It's just how we use it. Never mind. So I think a different portrait would have been cool, maybe with his mouth wide open. One thing with the displays, you can see right here, the huge blade kind of blocks his portrait. I think that's a negative. So while the design isn't bad by any means, I think it's a 2 out of 5. I think a lot more could have been done with this piece, especially knowing we're probably never going to see a Riot statue. So if we're going to do it well. So while I would have liked to see some things different, it doesn't mean I dislike it. Paint and sculpt. Now, this is an interesting one for me because I've seen him in movies and I saw him in comics. And this is obviously kind of a mix of both of those, although I think this is meant for comic basis. The commissioner's a big comic guy. I'm trying not to compare it to Venom statues, but let's do some close-up video. Now, I have a lot of light shining on him. You know, in the movie, it was incredibly dark whenever we saw him. But again, I think this is comic-based. I like the base a lot. There's a few globs of the symbiote that I'm not a fan of, but it looks better as you move up. But like I said, I think this is some type of containment chamber. Almost looks like some type of big engine, maybe. That's the beauty in it. You sculpt something and paint it, and collectors buy it, and they don't even know what it is. But see right there, that almost looks like an engine of some type. But I think it was some type in the laboratory, maybe the Life Foundation. Again, they had Venom kind of in this capsule, if I remember right. So it could be that, but there's some great color tones on this. So you see how the copper kind of shines off, and then you have the little rivets and even some damages in it. I think it looks really good. Riot himself, very solid paint job. I also appreciate the musculature. I think this is, it's almost like a modern twist on what we saw in the comic, because again, the comic was very elementary, if you will. And it's interesting how most of the symbiote is either on the base and then it's pretty lacking until you get towards the top. But I like how it's almost three-dimensional. It does protrude, which gives you that look, and then some of the pieces that you saw during assembly come off. But it's a good shine. It's not too shiny. It's not too dull. Almost has a feeling where it's moving a little bit, and I think that's a tribute to both the paint and the sculpt. See the different layers of the symbiote. And then I think the portrait's done really well. Really love the eyes on this one. And then even the detail in the teeth. Now, being a production sample, you'd expect the paint to be really good, and it is. So like no bleed over, no crossover. There's that huge dagger. I like how it's symbioted into his arm. So overall, pretty solid with the paint and sculpt. I like his proportions. I like quite a bit about this. I think it's done really well. I like the proportions. I like the transition in the colors. I think this is a 4 out of 5 on both the paint and the sculpt. This character, again, I remember growing up, reading him, and even I read Lethal Protector series probably about 5 years ago. It's 2D, so this looks more amazing than that. It's always hard to compare something that was a 2D print from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, to something that's 3D. Now, value on this. I don't know the exact retail price. Because this was a production piece, I got this for an incredible steal. Usually I rank the value off of the retail price, and since I don't know that, I really can't give it a rating. But I will tell you this, I know Scream's been done quite a few times in the custom world, so I'd guess it's only a matter of time before she's done in the licensed world, because she was the most prominent of that Life Foundation. And I've seen a few of the other characters, but not all of them. To my knowledge, this is the only Riot. So there are definitely symbiote collectors out there that would definitely want to add this to their collection because it's a damn good statue. So I think the value, depending on what its retail price was pretty decent, but I know I got it for a steal. Does this have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5 statue? I never expected this to be. Again, I just got it for a great steal, and I love collecting the different symbiotes. For me, it's a solid 3 out of 5, which is, you remember, on my channel, that's a good score. It means you get what you paid for, you get what you expected. Anything below that means you were disappointed. I'm not disappointed with this at all, but I've had so many symbiote statues on this table, probably north of 70, and this is a very, very solid one. I think there's better ones out there, but not in this character again. This is the only character. So I apologize I made no jokes today. Let me think of one that I haven't told here before. Got to think of one that's not long.
That's what she said.
There you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Yes, we're still giving away $1,000 statues at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. You have to make sure you're subbed to the channel, you like the video, and then leave a comment. We're going to pick a random comment on a random video and give away those statues. In the meantime, check out some of these other videos and my social media. Talk to you soon. Take care.